Hello and welcome to the Florida Golf Experience. Thank you for joining us today. We're episode 3. We have Mark Calcavecchia coming in today with our guest host, Christian Martin, a local PGA pro here. Mark has an amazing resume with being on 4 Ryder Cup teams, over 29 professional wins, and has also won the Open. Real excited to have him in today, so stay tuned for a great time with Mark Calcavecchia.
Jack Nicklaus is sitting up there in his cart behind the green, watching me hit this iron shot in there. So, you better make sure you're concentrating. So I think it was good for me.
Stand on 12 and try to make that chip again.
I'm going to go over there and show him where I was, but still ask him to put the pin in the back left where it was, so I can completely reenact it.
Favorite golf course of all time you've played?
Sand Hills in middle of nowhere, Nebraska. I believe Fort Crenshaw's first course. It is my favorite of all time.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you for spending time with us. My name is Dan Ensign. I got Christian Martin with us here today.
How you doing, Mark?
Good. Christian, how are you?
Good.
I'm doing fantastic.
Great. Well, we really appreciate you coming in today. Well, I'd like to start with, and again, I know you get so many questions, so I try to be a little bit different, but it's kind of hard not to talk about, you growing up and playing at Florida, because, and then you got to get to know the Nicklaus family pretty well. Well, how was it getting to know the Nicklaus family? I mean, how'd that come about? You got to play with his son, I guess, when you guys were in competition when you were younger?
You cut out for a second. Yeah, but you're talking about Jackie Nicklaus?
Yeah. Is that how you got to know the family?
Yep. We moved here when I was 13 in 1973 from Nebraska. And one of the first kids I met in the Palm Beach County Junior Golf Association was Jackie Jr. And then of course we played against each other all summer and then we're the exact same age, so we duked it out in high school golf for 4 years as well. And more times than not, especially if Mr. Nicklaus was home, Big Jack would come out and I played against Jackie a lot because we were both number 1 on our teams. He would come out and watch our matches, so that was pretty cool, and really got to know him well at that point.
Feel like that put a little pressure on you when you were in high school with Big Jack standing there watching?
It definitely put a little extra pressure on me, but that was good. I thought, well, Jack Nicklaus is sitting up there in his cart behind the green, watching me hit this iron shot in there. So you better make sure you're concentrating. So I think it was good for me.
Well, I always, you and I are the same age, so I grew up watching you, since my father was an avid golfer and he was a good player his whole life. So I was always telling Dan and these guys, I joined my first club 4 years before I was born. So I got to play golf a lot and I watched you growing up, and I always felt like, you always played fearless to me. I mean, like you didn't, when you were on, man, you didn't seem like there was a pin you were afraid of. Is that kind of the way you would look at it?
Exactly. I was definitely very aggressive. I just had such confidence in my short game that if I did miss the green on the wrong side or the short side, I could get it up and down. So, and it's still true to this day. If I aim away from the pin, I'll probably hit a bad shot. I just never had discipline in my swing to aim 30 feet left of it and hit it there. I'm better off aiming at the pin and pull or pushing it away from the trouble than I am aiming away from the trouble, because then I get to the top of my swing and I just want to help it over to the flag. I can't help it. So
right.
Yeah, it's hard to do. So that's kind of why it always looked like I was so aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, I have worked tirelessly on my short game, like, which for me, and what I try and tell a lot of the amateur players is, like, if you're really competent with your short game, it takes the fear out of the approach shot because you're not worried about missing, because you feel like you're going to get it up and down or maybe even chip it in anyway. So it takes the pressure off some of the other parts of the game.
Yeah, no question.
So let me ask you, did you making Ryder Cup teams, like you were on 4 different Ryder Cup teams, is that one of the biggest honors you could possibly have in golf? I always felt like, for me, like if I could just make a Ryder Cup team, nothing else would matter to me.
Yeah, it was, it was cool. 3 years in a row I made it in 87, 89, 91. And I just missed 95 by a whisker when Brad Faxon shot 63 at Riviera at the PGA, and he passed me by 0.05 of a point.
Oh man.
Man,
Bummer.
he didn't pick me. So
Yeah,
that'd have been nice to make that one. And then, of course, I made the '01 team that we ended up playing in '02. So, but yeah, it's, Ryder Cup's really cool to be part of. Uh, losing's not a whole lot of fun, but it's really cool
no, sir.
representing your country. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and winning the Open Championship, that had to just be otherworldly.
Yeah, it was. I'm actually bringing my son and 6 friends over there in May to play some golf, and I've never done anything like that before, a guy's trip. And Royal Troon is one of our stops, so I'll be
Nice.
excited to get back there and rehash some of the stuff that went on back in '89.
Stand on 12 and try to make that chip again.
I'm going to go over there and show them where I was, but yeah, still ask them to put the pin in the back left where it was, so I can completely reenact it. Competition
Awesome.
or something. That's a good idea. That would be fun.
Yeah. We can't wait to see it. Send us a video of it.
Okay.
Do you really enjoy links golf, or you prefer American style golf?
A couple of weeks of it's about enough. If I had to play it every single day, I'd get pretty tired of it in a hurry, I think. But it's such a great change of pace. 1 or 2 weeks a year when you go over there to play in Scotland and England and Ireland. It's just, I do enjoy it, but I don't think it's kind of like the Phoenix Open. I love that tournament.
Right.
I enjoy it, but you wouldn't want something like that every week. That's kind
Exactly.
of about links golf.
Yeah, I took an Ireland trip and with a bunch of guys, and it was phenomenal. I wanted the wind to blow. I wanted to have the conditions like you play in the Open and stuff. And we actually had really nice weather, but the wind was blowing. But like you said, like once in a while, it's a great test. You want to try something different, but every day, I don't know.
Right, exactly.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't Grand Cypress up there in Orlando have a course like that? I don't know if it's still there.
They have one that resembles St. Andrews.
St. Andrews. Okay.
Favorite golf course of all time you've played?
Sand Hills in middle of nowhere, Nebraska. I believe Cory Crenshaw's first course. It is my favorite of all time. It's just it's an hour and 15 minutes north and North Platte. You're driving out there in these 2-lane roads up and down these sand dunes, and you're like, man, there's no way there can be a golf course out here. And
Right.
it's just it's spectacular. Everybody that I brought out there, I played it 5 different times, I think. And you go out for 2 or 3 days. You don't go all the way out there to play one round.
Right.
And
They have lodging and everything up there too.
they do. We've every time we've been there, we've taken our bus and we just park in the parking lot. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, wow.
Generator, but it's my favorite. And of course, even if I hadn't won the Open at Royal Troon, I would tell you Royal Troon's probably my second favorite course.
Oh, okay.
Even if I hadn't won there, if I'd have lost a playoff or whatever, it's just I knew when I played my first practice round there that I liked it. Every hole suits my eye. I think it does suit a fader a little more than
Right.
person that plays a draw or right to left. So that's probably my second favorite course in the world.
What about in Florida?
In my area, you got to go.
You're in Jupiter?
I'm in Jupiter. You got to go Seminole. I probably play there once or twice a year, and it's always a treat to go out and play because the conditions are everything on that course as well.
Right.
You get a fairly calm day, which isn't too often there. You can shoot a pretty good score out there, but I like all the holes at Seminole. It's been a while since I played it, but Pine Tree down in Boynton is another one of my favorites. And I'm really looking forward to playing. I've heard nothing but amazing things about the new course at the MacArthur Club. It's called the Backyard, I think. And it's a Cory Crenshaw course, so already I'm sure I'm going to like it. But I've heard it's just fantastic. So, and then, of course, where they're playing this week, the TPC in Jacksonville is right up there with one of my favorites. And another favorite is Innisbrook, where they're playing next week.
I'm going to be up there also. I'm hopefully going to run up and meet Mr. Koch, So we talked to him a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
we're going to try to see him at Valspar. So we're excited to go up there.
Nice.
That golf course can bite you in the butt, Innisbrook. It's that's a good. I've played it a number of times, and it's a fun track, but it's not an easy track.
No, it's definitely not easy.
Yeah. Did you try and set your schedule based on golf courses that favored the fade more in your career, or you just played wherever?
I just played wherever, and as time goes on, you realize what courses are better for you than others. That's kind of like Kevin Kisner said, can you win this week at Torrey Pines? And he's like, no, I have no chance. And they asked him, well, why are you here? Because they pay a lot of money for 20th, was his answer. So,
Exactly.
when I was younger, it's kind of like Eric Cole now. My buddy Eric Cole, who was Rookie of the Year last year, it took him 14 years to get on tour. So he just feels like he can't take a week off, that he's missing out on something, every once in a while he'll play like 8 weeks in a row and then take a week off. So, he'll miss 2 or 3 tournaments this year or something like this. It's crazy. But, he just can't force himself to stay home.
Well, it'd be hard to stay home. I mean, they're getting the best treatment, and then of course the purses are so big now that it's hard to. It's crazy, I mean, when Jack won 73 times and made $5 million, and you can make $5 million in an event now, it's crazy.
Right, I know. It is great.
I mean, what's first prize at TPC this week? Like 5 or 6 million, 5.5 million.
I think it's 4.5.
4.5.
4.5.
That's it.
Yeah, I believe so.
Who won Bay Hill last week? He made more money than Russell Henley.
Russell Henley.
$4 million, and Arnie made 3.6 his entire career.
So, it was 63 wins. I mean, it's crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
But you guys laid the groundwork for these guys to make this kind of money. So you got to have some sort of pride in that.
Well, I tell you, bring that up. What do you feel about Live Golf, or should we not even touch that subject?
Oh, I'll touch on it quickly. I'm not a fan. I never have been.
Yeah.
It's a little bit sad that that those guys aren't playing the PGA Tour anymore. I think that's going to change shortly, but it's been 3 years now, and I haven't watched. I'd say a combined total of 10 minutes of it.
You got 10 more minutes than I do.
Nobody cares who wins. It's
right.
It's truly, if there's ever a word for exhibition golf, that's what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a strong opinion across the board from a lot of, especially PGA pros like Christian. We talk about it, and it's just an exhibition.
Well, my thoughts, and this is just a personal opinion, which my personal opinion doesn't mean a whole lot, but I always thought, like, if you want to come back, you have to go to Q school and you got to qualify just like everybody else. You left, you're brand new. You don't get any status from being one of the guys that used to be out there. Earn your way back on.
Yeah, right.
In my opinion,
that's a good. They're so big stars. They command so much money. It's about the media, right? So, I wanted to hit you a little bit with something outside of golf, and I come across a couple of videos of you hitting some golf balls over in a speedway in Atlanta.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, that was cool. I found out Ricky Stenhouse is a big golfer, and they asked me if I'd do something with Ricky over at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And I was in Highlands at the time, so it's a 3-hour drive, and it was really cool. Got to meet, see the track, go up on the roof. Beautiful facility, and we hit some balls down the backstretch or down the backstretch down the speedway towards the target, and I yanked one into the stands and heard it clanking around in the seat. So, but that was fun, and then. About a month later, my son and I went over there for the weekend for the races. So it was a great time.
Nice. And I also see you do some cold plunging.
Yeah, my wife just asked me, I swear, about an hour ago, if I wanted to go with her tomorrow and give it another whirl, and I'm like, I think I'm playing golf tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the longest 3 minutes of your life. That's the longest 3 minutes of your life getting in that water, man. I mean, I've done it, and I like the way I feel when I get out. But oh my God,
yeah, the first time I did it twice, I didn't know what to expect, and it literally did take my breath away. And the
Yeah.
second time I almost made it a minute, but yeah, I can't stand there any longer than that. And oh yeah.
Did you ever consider bowling? I think your dad was in the bowling business, right?
Yeah.
Were you ever thinking about being a professional bowler at
Well,
some point?
growing up in Nebraska, that's pretty much all you could do in the winter: play basketball in the gym and bowl. So
Right.
my dad ran the bowling alley, so I was a pretty good bowler, and still enjoy bowling. And I threw a 256 the other day, and then I followed that up with
Nice.
about a 147. So uh,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and I've got a lot of friends that are pro bowlers, and
Yeah.
they work awful hard for very little money. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't a pro bowler.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
I had one question. I know Christian, I had a couple more, but with amateur golf, since we are Florida golf experience here, you actually coached me on this, and you kind of said that when you guys play pro tournaments, you have to play with amateurs. You know, what do you see that some amateurs need to improve on, or what's the top thing you kind of see when you're playing these pro ams, or you see these amateurs that they need to work on?
Yeah, I see it a lot. You know, most amateurs are, not all. I play with a lot of good amateurs as well, but in pro-ams and things, it's almost always that they stand too far away from the ball, and they're kind of hunched over, and their spine angle changes a lot. Their head bobs up and down and back and forth, and so I try to get them a little more comfortable, closer to the ball, a little bit more of a natural address position, and then just try to keep their head still and not bob up and down. And almost every time they start hitting it more solidly right off the bat. So
Hmm.
that's probably my main tip. And of course, short game. Um, say an 18 handicapper, if he could just chip better, not take two or three chips to get on the green or two or three times to get out of a bunker, all of a sudden you're going to save 6, 7 shots around easy.
He's a 12, not an 18 if he's got a short game.
Right. If you can just
Yeah.
not make doubles and triples or whatever from just off the green. And, it's golf. It's hard. It happens. But I think that's the main thing. I said just spend a little more time chipping and trying not to three putt as well. You're lag putting. Sometimes
Right.
you watch these guys putt and they blow a 30-footer 25, 30 feet by. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So a lot of shots are wasted around the greens. So I tell them to work on that as well.
Sounds familiar. Christian tells me that all the time.
Did you enjoy the pro-am process? I know you guys are required to play in it. Did you find that, okay, I'm going to embrace this and it's a lot of fun, and then you got to switch gears and go into tournament mode the next day? Did you enjoy that process?
Yeah, I always did. I always kind of used it as another practice round, or sometimes my only practice round, or trying a new driver, or trying a new putter, or trying new wedges, or anything to kind of keep it fun. The only time that pro-ams were tough, and they're tough for the amateurs too, is when the weather's super crappy.
Exactly.
Freezing cold and raining. I mean, nobody wants to be out there in that crap. You
Right.
can't talk to anybody. You're hiding under your umbrella. So those days are kind of not fun, but they're not fun for anybody. So that's the only time. And still, I mean, on the Champions Tour, I'm not playing that much anymore. But in the 14 years I've been out there, a lot of times we played 2 pro-ams a week, sometimes 3, and on occasion I played four straight pro-ams
Oh wow.
for the tournament.
Wow.
So it's part of the deal, and you get used to it. And I've met a lot of great people through pro-ams.
Yeah, you already answered my last question, or my one question is: are you still getting around on the Champions Tour a little bit more, or you kind of backing off?
I was going to play in Tucson last week, but just kind of some things added up, and I didn't get around to going. Mainly, I didn't feel like packing and getting up at 4:30 in the morning and flying to Tucson.
Yeah, makes sense.
A little bit of late.
It's a long drive.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's a long drive even in the bus.
Kicks. Yeah, it's too long to drive in the bus. But I'm gonna go out to Palm Springs and play in a couple weeks.
Excellent.
I'm probably looking at 7 to 9 tournaments this year. Is all
Okay.
out of the 27 that we have. So I still enjoy playing. I'm finding here at home in the last few weeks I've been playing more than usual, and I'm starting to play better and better. When I was younger in my prime, I played a lot in December, and I always felt like I was really ready to start the year in January. And I usually
Right.
off to a pretty good start in the West Coast. So I think I'm going to try that, play as much as I can, heading up to Palm Springs, and see if I can get a little confidence going into that tournament, as opposed to just kind of not doing much and showing up there and hoping for the best. So that's kind of my plan this year.
Excellent.
So you're going to play in the majors?
I'm going to play that. Just entered the U.S. Senior Open. I'm not going to play in Birmingham.
Okay.
I'm going to play at Sunningdale in the Senior British. I'm done with Firestone. I tore it off last year. Of course, it's just way too hard for me. It's too hard for pretty much all of us, but Stricker or Ernie or Jerry Kelly,
Yeah.
guys managed to break par out there. But that'll do it. And I'll be in Scotland for that trip I was talking about during the PGA. So
Okay.
I guess I'm only going to play in 2 of the majors.
How the heck is Bernhard still doing it at 67, man?
Yeah,
that guy's amazing.
We're all still wondering the same thing. I don't think anything's really changed in him in the last 20 years.
It hasn't.
He looks the same now as he did when he first turned 50. And he still works harder than anybody. He
Right.
played all these courses 100 times. And what did he do? He gets out there on Tuesday, and he's out there for 6 hours playing a practice round with his caddy, always by himself. He lets groups play through because, we know where the pins are going to be on most every green.
Right.
So they putt to where the pins are. His caddy, Terry Holt, checks his book from the years past. So every time they get on a green or a putt in a tournament, I'm almost guaranteeing you they're 100% sure of which way or how much it breaks.
Gosh, wow.
He does that on Tuesdays, and then he practices on Wednesday, and then he plays the Thursday Pro-Am, and then the next thing you know, you look at the leaderboard, and there he is. So
he's amazing.
Yeah, to work that hard at 67, I know I've sloughed off about when I was 57.
Right.
I started just losing my my energy for practice. So it's very impressive.
Very impressive.
Well, it's good.
Yeah.
I think we're good, right? Yeah. I don't want to take too much of your time. I do really appreciate you spending time with us, and we're gonna make sure this gets out, and hopefully we'll be able to see you at one of the tournaments. I'd like to come by and shake your hand.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I did. I enjoyed watching you play because, like I said earlier, you played fearless golf and you went flag hunting, and you get on some birdie rolls that were just ridiculous sometimes, man. It was cool to watch. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I kind of nowadays wonder how I did that. Wrapping off all those birdies, and now if I make 3 or 4 around, I'm ecstatic. But kind of stage, I guess.
We appreciate it, Cal. Thank you very much for being with us, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, my pleasure.
Kind of to recap, some of the thoughts we had with him. I hit some of his personal things. With he's doing, his cold plunges, and he's doing some stuff with, he went out to NASCAR and got to hit some balls and stuff. But you had a couple great questions. What was most memorable for you that you got back from Cal?
Well, it was really kind of cool to see the pride he took in making the U.S. Ryder Cup team. I mean, I've always felt as a PGA professional that would be my dream, because if you're on the Ryder Cup team, everything else is going really well in your career, because you don't make it unless you're playing well. Right. So that's just kind of the icing on the cake, being on, and to be able to represent your country would just be amazing.
Yeah. We brought up a little bit about a shot he made in the Open. They changed that, right? And wasn't that the British Open, and then they switched it to the Open?
Well, for years it was the British Open, and nowadays we have to be politically correct. But honestly, it should be called the Open Championship. Right. It's not just played on British soil. It's played in Scotland. It's played in Ireland. It's played at a variety of places. And it's one of the true Open Championships, meaning anybody can play in it. You and I could play in the Open Championship if we went through the qualifying stages and played well enough.
Right. Well,
it's kind of like the U.S. Open. Well, maybe back in the day, but the U.S. Open's the same thing. You have multiple qualifying sites, and anybody can play in it, and it can be a life-changing experience for anyone. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool that he's still playing. He kind of said he's backing down a little bit. He said he's playing about 9 tournaments in the year.
Yep.
So I'm gonna try to see if I can go see him in a couple of those. If he's in Florida, I don't know. Are those in Florida?
They definitely have.
Champions?
I think they have some Champions Tours in Florida. They had one in Tampa not long ago, and they may have one down in Naples or something. It'd certainly be worth a drive down.
Well, I'll go back and listen to what we talked about, and maybe kick. He mentioned a couple of them, and maybe we'll get a chance to go. He said he'd shake our hands, so if we go there, I'm gonna hold him to that.
Absolutely.
So, but I think it was great. It was a great conversation, and we look forward to seeing everybody in the next one. Is there anything else we got on the end of this? Or we at the end of the show here?
Well, we're probably at the end of the show, but everybody, of course, knows that the Players Championship is this week.
Oh,
and
yeah?
That's, they all consider it the 5th major. There's only 4 majors in golf, but someday maybe the TPC will be known as the 5th major.
Every time they start, that's the first conversations all newscasters. When's it going to be the 5th major?
When's it going to be the 5th
because it's a big deal.
Well, it's got the number 1 field in golf. You have 48 of the top 50 players in the world playing in that thing.
Right.
And I'm going to give you my prediction this year.
Okay.
I'm calling Colin Morikawa is going to win this one. He's been right on the edge, and I think he's ready to have another win.
I also said that as Hunter, my son. I know we talked about it in the past,
Yeah.
but he brought that up, and he's like, he thought the other one was going to win. That last week, that one changed really quick, didn't it?
He didn't lose. He got beat. You
Yeah.
know, there's a difference. He played well. He hung in there. The guy chips in for eagle on the 16th hole, and all of a sudden you flip the script. What are you going to do? There's only a couple of holes left.
And I know when we talk about golf, you said any given day. Any given day. I mean, you mentioned to me the other day we were talking about golf, and you're like, you could be hitting like a superstar with a blindfold on, and then you're hitting like a 30 handicap, out of
all
nowhere.
in the same day. That's the hard part about golf. You can be on a roll, and all of a sudden the roll's over.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people have to understand is amateur players, like even the tour players, will tell you there's going to be a 3-hole stretch that you just have to learn how to survive. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean I played 3 bad holes in a row, but there's 3 holes out there in every round. Don't let the round get away from you. Don't make a stupid mistake. Don't make a double or a triple. Make a bogey and be happy you made a good bogey.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's great information. We look forward to seeing you guys on the next show. Thank you for visiting the Florida Golf Experience.